puck, you have a good amount of area control. Kind of compensates for the mildly weaker team fight from TNC. So it does even out just a fair bit. I still favor Fnatic's lineup just because, we've seen how disruptive the heroes on Fnatic side can be. We've seen IceIceIce on this Brewmaster before, and it's just so annoying to deal with, Mike. It's going to be something to watch out for. I feel TNC has to be ready to kind of accept that one of the lanes is probably going to have a hard time. At the same time, TNC should try their best to, give Fnatic a hard time as well. Like maybe focusing on Abed's mid Pangolier. I think that's something that they might be able to force out as long as they shut down Abed. That's a lot of tempo taken away from Fnatic. We've seen that time and time again. So we'll see if TNC does pour out the resources to do that here.
Hopefully so. Nevertheless, should be a very, very fun and entertaining game at the least. And of course, like I mentioned before, it is a best of 3 finale between these two. Of course, we will get the game started. John, I did forget to say, I hope everyone watching's having a fantastic day, as per usual. If not, hopefully we can make it a good day for you as their casters, John. You don't ruin it for them.
Yeah, I'll try my best not to ruin stuff, Mike, but, well, I'm just born with it sometimes, it just happens.
Fair enough. Of course, Armel will be on that puck in the mid lane up against the Pangolier being played by Arbit. It'll be a rather interesting matchup. Who do you really feel like wins that out, though? Against the puck and the Pango, it's kind of a hard one to really say which one just wins outright.
Yeah, it's not a mid matchup you see too often. I feel like it really depends on who can pump out the most harass. Of course, puck does have a slight advantage being ranged, but Pangolier does have some pretty good range on his wave shoving ability as well. So it really is a bit of a toss-up until we start seeing maybe level 3 and just how much harass Abed can sustain from Armel.
Looks like both teams going to start this game off rather quietly. I doubt there'll be an early engagement going on, although I say that MP may go for that top bounty. It really depends on whether he wants to go for the level 1 rage or not. And he does opt not to, or does he? No, he will back off. For the moment as well, John, it does appear MP has queued up a Midas after a couple items, so he will be going for that heavy farming build on that Lifestealer, which can't say is very bad, but I mean, I suppose they're just going to set up for the ultra, well, not ultra late game, but for the late game, rather than trying to contest TNC early on.
I think the key thing with Lifestealer is that, again, you can't flash farm too well. So you do want something like a Midas to help accelerate that, at the very least accelerate your EXP gain. And you do want some fast levels on the hero like Lifestealer. So I think that's a fair point to make. I think it's a fair item to go for. As long as he hits a pretty good timing in it. We've seen, 5.5 Midases come out. I think that's a really, really ideal timing. But even somewhere between 6 to 7 for MP here in pretty contested lane, it should work out well if you can hit that timing.
I love the fact that we're watching a support Luna as well, by the way, John. It's just such a weird kind of lane to look at. Like Gabby's farming on the Drow. You got support Tim's on the Luna. And you have AU there on the Sven also supporting. Quite an unusual lane, but I suppose it works with all the auras, all the bonuses they can get together. MP can't really get into range to free farm right now, and he has got that level 1 rage as well, which does make things slightly more difficult for him. So
this was something that worked out right when Luna got that rework for Lunar Blessing. It did taper off hard, and it did get nerfed significantly, that Lunar Blessing. So I am curious to see if it does pay off quite well here. It so far is. I mean, they're really slowing down MP's farm. At the same time, they're committing like 2 supports up here. So their side lanes are pretty much solo, and that might cost them in the long run.
Just watching that mid lane right now, John Arbed. Popping a lot of harassment now from Armel. Does find himself an arcane rune if he does wish to pick it up. Still no bottle on that Pango, but perfectly fine to just take that and probably just spam the swashbuckle. Of course, it is, like I said, at that point now where the puck hits like an absolute truck, really, even at the early levels, and Abed has to be very wary of that. Can get caught out very easily and does have plenty of regen available in case he does find himself falling rather low. Meanwhile, top lane, however, looks like they will make a chase onto Jabs right now. Tim's going to continue the chase. Lucent Beam will be there as well, and he should be able to find this kill, though Jabs is trying to juke him out. One more right click should do it, although he is healing up with the Tango, and Tim's will find the first blood for the side of TNC. They continue the harassment out onto MP on that lifestealer. He'll be alright, but more importantly, TNC have a very nice start for themselves.
Yeah, they're really making this tri lane work up top, which is what you want to see. Again, it's a very heavy investment. If they're not finding these kills early on, it would really slow down their progression. Their EXP would suffer a lot. You do want EXP on that supports Luna and the support Sven. So the fact that they are finding these kills and making it work is a good sign for TNC.
Certainly so. Actually, MP starting to fall rather low. He does rage himself up, though. AU and Tim's continuing the chase. Lucent Beam will be there. MP, perhaps 2 more right clicks may do it. 1 more now. He's still using those tangos to get out of there with the Quelling Blade, and will be successful in doing so, but he remains at level 2 and currently only has 7 last hits. So, I mean, in all honesty, and you say this a lot, John, but TNC may just prefer to leave him like that with low HP.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair trade to make. It forces MP to walk back. It's nowhere near any point where he can safely commit suicide. And that just wastes a lot of time. He's missing out on at least 2 waves of farm, 2 waves of EXP. He's going to come back, probably a bit underleveled, and definitely farm starved. So I'm not actually too sure if MP can hit that good timing on the Midas. He is having a pretty rough first 5 minutes here. I think they might have to change their game plan for this lifestealer.
Now, one lane we haven't really mentioned at all yet. That's bot lane. DJ is there with IceIceIce on that Brewmaster. And of course, we do have the Nature's Prophet being played by KuKu as the core role. Looks like KuKu not having the worst time in the world in this safe lane, although IceIceIce has taken over, as he generally does in the off lane. Only 22 last hits with 10 denies, and that Brewmaster is going to be quite a big problem in the mid game if he's just allowed to get all these last hits.
This is the tendency when you have IceIceIce on a signature hero, though. It just gets really disruptive in whatever lane he's at. And I feel like if you're TNC, you're pretty okay with having KuKu being the one shafted. Again, he is position tree as well. If anyone's going to slow down, it should probably be the offlaner. You want your safe laner in mid to have a better time, and it is working out that way for TNC. Again, the top lane is working out quite well. RML down mid as pretty much slow down Abed to the point where, you know, Abed's not having a great time either.
Yeah, Abed, very unusual to see him at this rate, but I mean, he's half the last hits of RML right now, and like I said, this isn't something you see too often with Abed, but it is a puck versus Pangolier, and it does appear that the puck does win out with these lanes. See if they do make any rotations for ganks in the mid lane anytime soon, but it looks like they're rather preoccupied with just trying to keep MP alive, or at the very least farming. But MP, he does move his way into the jungle now, not wasting his time any longer in that safe lane. And there's really just no point. Like, that tower at this rate is not going to last very long. It's already very darn low as it is. And AU will move forward, make sure the Shadow Demon can't just spam that poison. And they will be able to just finish off that tier 1 tower fairly easily. Looks like DJ trying to find a trade though. Mid lane, Armel being chased down by Abed. Abed does use that regen rune to try and get his mana back up, but doesn't go any further for Armel because of course he was at the shrine already. Meanwhile, top lane, Jabs got a copper stun. AU looking for the body blocks and does find it, but the disruption is there. Tims does not have mana for Lucent Beam right now, although that ultimate coming through. KuKu actually finds MP as well throughout all that. He was trying to shrine up, John. Meanwhile, Jabs, he's probably regretting what he just did by running past. And they will lose 2 on the side of Fnatic.
Highly unfortunate for Fnatic, but a really good start for TNC. I kind of doubted this draft, but they are making it work, despite it being something that is kind of dated, I have to say, especially with the Luna support that was in vogue for a while, but tapered off quite fast. They are really getting this draft to work for him well.
Warmel in trouble. Double Dream Core comes out, however, and here comes AU to try and help. Arbed, KuKu is also here, and in fact, Tims joins in. They'll find one. Jabs goes down, and Arbed, which way does he run? Does run the correct way, and he'll be all right. A very close call onto Armel, but that's one of the things with the puck. It's such a slippery hero to try and kill, and at level 7, even though he doesn't have those core items like the Yules or the Blink, he still does prove to be very, very difficult to take out.
Definitely so. It comes down to Fnatic really lacking a hard lockdown. I mean, at the very least, when DJ's not around, your options are really limited. You really can't chase too well. So every time they go for those rotations onto the puck, you're going to have DJ around. If not, you're not going to get that kill.
Looks like TNC, they've set their eyes on the mid-tier 1 tower now. And again, this is a Drow lineup, so the faster you can take these towers and take over map control, the better. And they're going to take it rather easily, although there are rotations coming in now. IceIceIce does join the fray in the mid lane. Won't really find anything out of this, but just wants to protect that very, very important tower, and he does do so. MP on that lifestealer. I mean, his net worth right now, John, it's so low. Like, he's 4th last. And, I mean, you can't blame him. Like, this is the kind of lane he's been up against where they are just going to make him pretty much just choke and just struggle to breathe in that lane. But he is going to try and make his way back up that net worth graph now.
This is one thing we worried about Fnatic from the draft phase. As mentioned, you know, Lifestealer does not flash farm, so when he does bad in lane, he's going to have a hard time recovering, and it's really showing here. MP not having the best time, already died once in the jungle as well, trying to clear as much as he can, has to share his farm with Jabs as well, who is trying to drop those camps down for him to clear it out easier, but again, it's no easy task for a Lifestealer, which just has no way of clearing out these camps fast enough by himself.
I mean, Jabs is doing a good job of, like, only taking out the smaller creeps in those stacks, but I mean, I have to agree with you. Like, even those smaller creeps do add up to quite a bit of gold, so MP still going to be happy that he can quickly farm those up for the moment. This is certainly going to be a hard ask for MP to try and climb his way back. So that's why you have players like Arbed and IceIceIce on the other core roles. They tend to be able to buy you a lot of time. IceIceIce actually looking to say hello to AU right now on that Sven. Start off with the stomp and does cop a stun of his own. Now he won't split for this, although nice hex from DJ. Makes it just in time, and AU should just be dead here. He'll try to go for a run, and the shield is there as well. Does buy out with all his gold, and he's still making it out somehow. The IceIceIce, again, can just split. The stun was just a farm from AU, and he runs the right way as well. AU, no TP available. He just used it, but he's trying not to attack right now. IceIceIce will eventually scout him out and take him out as well.
That's a bit of a long chase for that kill, which looked fairly straightforward. But again, that shield coming out from the Sven is just pretty darn strong. So they do manage to secure that kill, but not without a lot of time being wasted in that chase.
Well, not only that, John, they lost the mid-tier 1 tower throughout that as well. So definitely not the greatest of news once again for Fnatic. It's like Arbed currently has an Invis rune, trying to look for some opportunity here, but his team does take a while to get closer. Arbed just keeping eyes on Gabby and Tims. We'll get started now. Rolling Thunder will be there. The silence was not there in time from the Drow, and now DJ will focus with those Serpent Wards on making sure Gabby goes down, and it will be a very easy pickup for the side of Fnatic, and a very important one at that.
Yeah, again, just slowing down the momentum from TNC, buying time for MP to farm up, just make sure these fights break out on the opposite end of the map is a pretty darn good move from Fnatic. Just, again, just trying to play the recovery game here. They are still not too far behind, but again, that early game does matter a lot, especially with the heroes that do require that snowball start. We do see a smoke coming out from TNC.
So they are going to have a go with DJ. Should be a fairly easy pickup. He's really got no escape mechanism, but they have to find him first. Eventually, though, not by the Serpent Wards. And now KuKu will come in as well. Nice little support pick for the side of TNC. I don't think Fnatic are going to mind that too much, however. They are doing some decent chip damage to that mid tier 1. Armel will rotate over to say hello to IceIceIce. But still, 5-2, 12.5 minutes in. 3k net worth lead to the side of TNC. Once again, though, I will remind the crowd, John, there is a bit of a timer for the side of TNC. Although things look good right now, they can't really let off with this draft. They have to continue the pressure, continue holding on to that control and the momentum of the game. Otherwise, once you're past that 30 or 40 minute mark, things get a lot harder if you're on TNC's end.
Definitely so. Not only that, you have to remember that with the Shadow Demon game, that it's very easy for Fnatic to turn that Luna against itself. So you will have to watch out for that. Jabs, it should be fairly easy for him to just catch out Luna or even one of Luna's illusions at some point to get their own push going or a great counter push going. So as the game goes on, as the Luna scales up, so does the potential for the defense from Fnatic. It does scale up fairly nicely as well.
It's like they were trying to make a go onto KuKu at bot lane, but they think better of it. Definitely not the easiest target in the world right now. Does have those drums up and running, so it does make him just slightly tankier. While top lane, Jabs going to be a target. KuKu TPing in as well, and well, Jabs is dead. No real difficulty there. Just another support kill for the side of TNC, though bot lane, Armel is a much bigger kill, but the Rolling Thunder was cancelled thanks to the silence of Armel. While mid lane, IceIceIce was targeted for a bit, but again, he has the primal split, so it's going to be rather hard to kill him unless you can stun or silence him up.
Yeah, it is a bit of an optimistic kill. You do have to chain stun perfectly onto IceIceIce, and it's not like he's that squishy either, so not the easiest target to go for here. I do want to point out something now, Mike. We do have MP's Midas up, so that should help him out just a bit more in terms of playing catch-up here. And he's still a significant amount of gold behind. TNC understands that. They are going for the Rosh, and it should be a fairly easy one to take.
Well, you say it's easy, John, but they've smoked up on the side of Fnatic, and they are going to make a run in. Serpent Ward's available, now Rolling Thunder as well, and this looks bad for the side of TNC. The Roshan goes down. The Aegis is snatched by Arbed as well. That's super bad news for the side of TNC, and now they're just stuck in there with the Serpent Wards. DJ on a double, make that a triple. What an absolute perfect play from the side of Fnatic, and now, well, a nice silence coming out from Armel, but he is being chased by IceIceIce. Cyclone, he had no mana for it. Regardless though, you got the Aegis, you got a triple kill on your support Shadow Shaman, and you'll find a mid-tier 1 tower out of that.
Yeah, that's a really good contest coming out from Fnatic. Nice clean kills on the board, and managing to transition to that mid-tier 1 to open up the map a bit more. It's just a really good move from Fnatic, especially after bleeding out so much space early on. This does tie up the game just a bit better, 6-5 now. 1k network lead for TNC, not the darkest spots for Fnatic anymore. Fairly even now, after a pretty good start from TNC.
One of the beautiful things about having a player like DJ on your team as that position 4 is he's so reliable, John. He always manages to land his abilities pretty perfectly. Like those Serpent Wards literally block 3 heroes into that Rosh pit, which isn't necessarily hard to do, but you can screw it up rather easily as well. So you've got to give credit where credit is due, and DJ, he certainly deserved that triple kill.
Oh, definitely. So just we've watched a few Shadow Shaman games over the past few days, and a lot of times we see a lot of players just be really jumpy with the Serpent Wards. I think DJ is one of those players that isn't too jumpy. They know when to use it, and they know when not to use it, and that's really a key thing when you have a spell that is, it has a pretty massive cooldown, yet it's also really pivotal in everything, in your pushes, in your team fights. Having the know-how and knowledge to know when you should drop it is pretty big, and DJ does show that off here, Mike.
Well, while you were speaking, IceIceIce does pick up a Blink Dagger. We'll start pushing in that bot tier 2 tower. Looks like TNC will go for the trade with the top tier 2. So I say that Arbed, Rolling Thunder, not being thrown out yet. Now will IceIceIce TP's in. Again, nice Serpent Wards onto KuKu. Though AU going after DJ and will be able to find him. Meanwhile, in the back, Gabby, Rolling Thunder is nice, though Nature's Wrath doing a lot of damage, and Armel finds a double. Lucent Beams coming out from Tim's. It's a beautiful Eclipse, although the split, it will come out in time from IceIceIce. And now they've lost Tim's as well. Can they get AU? They probably should, and they will. He does get stunned up in time. Arbed with the double, and Fnatic once again coming out on top in a second team fight.
Yeah, it really is turning around for Fnatic here. That's some really good counter initiation coming in from both from Fnatic after kind of, you know, botching up start after copying that Eclipse. Just great timing from IceIceIce to get that split going, and just really good targeting from Fnatic, managing to take out the targets that were pretty pivotal in this game, especially, you know, locking onto that Drow immediately. Just really turned that around. Sure, they lose their tier 2, the entirety of their top lane is now exposed, but considering you're up against a Drow draft, that's something you really have to accept. This is around the time when that does start to fall apart, when your buildings start to fall apart, so they are still, you know, putting up quite a good fight here in Fnatic and really slowing down the momentum that TNC wants to have.
Yeah, I mean, this is getting super concerning now for TNC. We're at that 18-minute mark, and double damage rune, but it may break the smoke, and it does. But they found a nice kill if they could get it. The disruption was there onto Arbed, and Nature's Wrath does come through, but Arbed has managed to walk away. So Gabby did pick up the double damage and may be able to make work happen with this. You want to go in, MP, a very nice kill. The silence will be there in time, and look at the damage from Gabby. Slowing him down even further. Now DJ finding himself out of position. He will give a double away to Gabby. Now mid lane, they could find jabs, but they won't commit the dream call. In fact, they had committed a bit earlier on. Armel looks like he was trying to set up for his team, but his team was rather preoccupied. Now they did find jabs anyway. The disruption will be there in time. Rolling Thunder comes out from Arbed, though. I'm not sure about this team fight for Fnatic. They will lose jabs anyway. Arbed probably just using that Rolling Thunder to try and just make sure he gets out safely. And that will mean a tier 2 tower in the mid lane going down for the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, that's a really good movement coming out from TNC. Again, they're trying to keep this aggression going, and they are clearing out the map at a pretty good pace. So despite trading a few bad team fights, I feel like TNC is definitely still on the roadmap. They are doing what they need to do. They're clearing out the dire side of the jungle now, which will make it hard for MP to play catch-up. I mean, he's playing catch-up just fine. He still lacks a really big item to come out first. He only really has the Midas. So still has a lot of farming to do before he joins these big fights, and that is going to cost Fnatic a bit, as they will probably lose the entirety of their outside of map in the next 5 minutes, I have to say.
They do smoke up though, John. But look at this, TNC. Mass TPs to the opposite side of the map. That's just some good game sense from them. Understanding Fnatic's just missing off the map while they're struggling to farm. Probably means they're going for a smoke. They do back off. That will mean a wasted smoke and a lot of wasted time coming up for Fnatic. Of course, time is one thing they do have, I suppose. Like, that's what they're trying to do, is drag this game out. But definitely want to have spending that time just farming up as much as you can, especially if you're MP. He's doing that job, and well, he's climbing his way up the net worth graph right now as well. Like we talked about, it's a bit of a slow process when you're playing a life stealer, but that Midas, assuming you give him, you know, 5-10 minutes, he's probably going to be one of the highest net worths. So TNC probably going to be very wary of that. And I imagine the aggression is just going to continue.
Yeah, I feel like that is what we have to see coming out from TNC. Again, just that early aggression coming out. Your puck is really strong at this moment. Armel, with that big on 1 in the blink, can wreak havoc in your backline. You have blink on Gabby as well, and, you know, just his level scaling, the amount of agi he has and the attack speed he's giving to his entire team is pretty ridiculous. You have KuKu who can split push, and he has the Orchid up now as well. So that's a good amount of control coming out from this Nature's Prophet. And you have the Vlads and the mech on Tim's Luna as well. So you have a lot of sustain going. I think TNC is pretty much set for a good amount of push or team fight. So if they so choose, I don't think they're under too much pressure to do so as well. I feel like with the amount of time they've spent slowing down MP, They can afford to take some time to farm up themselves, but they should still keep an eye out on that lifesteal. Just don't give him too much room to farm up. Make sure he stays as low as possible as he is right now. You are starting to run into a few issues. Abed is starting to find some farm. He does have the Guardian Reaves up. That should help with the sustain for Fnatic, and that might make these fights take a bit longer than it should for TNC.
Well, John, I mean, the thing is with these fights is every team fight TNC's won, they're landing some really nice silences as well. And I mean, KuKu, he has that Orchid. You've obviously got that natural silence with Gabby, and the Puck for that matter. But with those Guardian Greaves, there's just so much value in this game for them. And you actually saw MP before. He was queuing up a BKB before he went for the Radiance, because every time he died, it was because he couldn't throw the Rage out in time, because he was getting silenced. However, now, he removes the BKB altogether, understanding that Abed will just remove that silence for him. And it looks like he's even going to get the Radiance rather quickly, depending, like, given the bad lane he had, like, that's a rather decent timing. TNC, actually, they will smoke up. Fnatic are grouped up, and it looks like they're ready to fight as well. So TNC will get back up to the top lane, where they'll start pushing that out a bit. Like KuKu will be going for a BKB of his own. Of course, we did see Gabby manage to pick up a BKB just a minute ago. Going for that Mjolnir next, it seems.
Makes it much harder to control this Drow Ranger again. You do have a good amount of control from Fnatic's side. Most of it doesn't pierce spell immunity, so you're going to have a hard time jumping Gabby at the back now. As long as Gabby manages to react in time. I feel like your best opening in that case would be, you know, DJ's Shadow Shaman. If he gets his blink up, just blink and Hex. That's the fastest disable you have for this Drow Ranger if ever you're going to jump Gabby. But the issue is DJ is nowhere near the farm for that blink dagger, so that instant initiation is not going to be coming out for Fnatic anytime soon, Mike.
No, absolutely not. I do like what the Radiant side has done as well. Like, you've seen how many times IceIceIce had to rotate early on to try and protect his teammates and his towers. Unusual for IceIceIce, because usually when he's playing one of his signatures like the Brewmaster, you'll see him at the top of the net worth board, or rather close to that. But he has had a bit of a slower game than he usually would. And I mean, again, you can attribute that to the fact that TNC aren't stopping the aggression, and the side of Fnatic, they really need IceIceIce early on.
Yeah, he's had to take a much more active role in this game so far. He's had to really buy space for MP, as, you know, MP isn't active at all. He's just staying in the jungle, farming what he can, and going to the side lanes that are relatively pushed in that are safe to farm. So IceIceIce has had to pick up that slack from a very early point in the game.
Looks like we may see a smoke coming out soon. TNC is holding one right now on Tim's. Of course, the Roshan just came up literally 1 second ago. Both teams are set up ready to go for it. Maybe a massive Roche fight on the way. Abed gets started on pushing out that mid lane, although Stormhammer was just on the creeps. Wrath of Nature coming out very early on. You always see this. When there's a Roshan that just comes up, they always focus on pushing out that mid lane first and ensuring the equilibrium is going their way. TNC, they're going to try and go for a surprise smoke rotation. I feel like this is rather obvious though. Fnatic, they have grouped up, ready to go for this. There's a lot of pressure on DJ to make sure he does get a very nice Hex initiation off onto one of those cores, and TNC getting ever so close to the side of Fnatic. MP is going to be the first one spotted out, just farming the creeps, and they will jump in, silencing him up immediately, and Abed was not there in time. Now IceIceIce though, he does get the split off. Eclipse was used. They may be able to get jabs, and they do as well. That's 2 down for the side of Fnatic, though they will get a buyback out. Meanwhile, Abed rolling around, trying to keep KuKu in place, though they may end up losing DJ on that Shaman. KuKu, Abed falling low, but KuKu is gone, and now Armel finds another kill for himself. They're trying to back off though, TNC. There's a lot of buybacks coming out though. Jabs, he just died back, and they may lose IceIceIce throughout all this as well. This is not great for the side of Fnatic. It looks like it will be TNC claiming the win over this fight, and they will claim themselves a Roshan as well.
Yeah, that's a pretty rough fight for Fnatic. Again, MP just standing in front, gets blown up immediately, doesn't contribute anything to the team fight. It's starting to really show itself with just how far behind MP is. He's just trying to farm jungle, gets caught out, and, you know, he can't help. He's silenced up, he has no BKB, no way of purging off that silence himself, so he, you know, can't activate Rage and just kind of dies. It's getting to be an issue for Fnatic to try to take these fights 5v4. And the counter initiation from Fnatic was okay. They did the best they could. That's a pretty good role coming out from Abed, but just not enough so far to really face off against what TNC has.
It was all up to really, like, you needed Abed to be just slightly closer to MP in that team fight so he could get the rage off, but wasn't quite close enough. Nevertheless, Fnatic nowhere near out of this game. There's only a 3k net worth advantage to TNC, and in terms of kills, 16-9 right now. Still a very close game. I mean, all these engagements we're seeing, like, both teams are barely walking away with HP, so it's still not the advantage TNC really, like, definitely want, but it's just enough for them to have that momentum they need for the moment. Fnatic, though, seemingly understanding they just need to hold on again. But they're just going to keep MP farming. Keep the man alive. He'll get there eventually.
I think the moment the MP gets his Manta style, you're going to see him active in the map. At very least, do something when he's ganked, because that silence is really what's killing him. So once he gets that, you know, Manta style purge going, he should be able to at least rage himself out. If not, you know, actually contributing to the team fight, because he does have the Radiance up, and that is a significant amount of damage as long as he stays alive. In prolonged fights with what we've been seeing, that is a good amount of damage that could come out from the Lifestealer, if he lives.
Well, we are approaching that 29-minute mark as well, so we talked about it in the draft phase, but these Drow strats do tend to drop off a bit. TNC may start feeling the pressure with that time. Like, sure, again, MP is nowhere near being that carry yet, but you've still got to be very wary, because in 10 minutes or so, I don't know how much faith I have in this Drow strat. So we'll see what TNC does do. They do smoke up at the very least to try and find a nice pick-off and perhaps go for a high ground push. They are going to find jabs at that top lane. Tim's looking to get started with Lucent Beam, and he will do so. KuKu as well with the Sprout. Very nice kill. Armel will claim himself a godlike streak now. In fact, Armel is sitting 9-0 on that puck, so he's been doing a rather fantastic job. They are going to go immediately for that tier 3 push at the top lane.
Yeah, I think that's a fair move to make. They've cleared out the lane. It'd be a really easy push. Going to be a bit of a hard defense for Fnatic, especially without that Shadow Demon. You do kind of want to make use of those illusions in the bridge.
Well, you look at that buyback status right now, and the only person who has it on the side of Fnatic is Abed. The only person on TNC right now who has it is Tim's. So, after this engagement, if it did happen, that would pretty much be the end of that. But looks like TNC do a lot of chip damage on the tier 3. They're more than happy with it for now. They will back off the safety. Fnatic, I imagine we're going to see a smoke rotation from them rather soon. Do see Jabs buying one for the team, and DJ will hold it. May go for a loop around, because they must realize TNC is still in their jungle somewhere. If they did go for that smoke, however, I mean, there's absolutely zero buybacks in the game right now available.
Yeah, if it worked out well, that would have been pretty big for Fnatic. At the very least, they might have been able to take an extra outer tower, or re-secure their jungle, plant some new wards there, make sure they have some space to play catch-up. If it didn't work out well for Fnatic, I mean, that's straight up 1 set, 2 sets of racks just gone.
TNC Gonna continue the pressure up at that top lane, just seemingly waiting for Fnatic to perhaps make a mistake. Fnatic not doing so, however. They are playing it very, very safe. No, Gabby moving forward. Arbed doing a fair bit of damage with the swashbuckle. Gabby looking to just try and get the tier 3 tower. Open up those shrines for his team. Then Gabby, disruption will be there. They're going to make the jump. No, they won't. He did cop a lot of damage throughout all that, but they will back off for the moment on the side of TNC. Still does hold the Aegis as well, mind you, and I do believe that has at least a couple minutes left to go. Definitely want to try and make use of that before it does run out, and they may have the option very soon, because Fnatic does go for a smoke. They may run into Gabby. That'd be a very nice target for them. In fact, the Aegis does just run out. Fnatic don't find anybody quite yet. Do you think that TNC is happy with what they achieved during that Aegis, or is that not enough?
I mean, you know, it's not something to be disappointed with. They did significant chip damage on that tower. At the same time, I feel like they are playing a bit more passive. Like, they did have the Aegis there. They still have the cheese. But TNC does seem happy enough to just slow this game down, which might be detrimental. Again, you have pretty good scaling heroes everywhere, but at the same time, you don't want to give Fnatic away back in game. You have the Shadow Demon who could become an issue later on as you scale up, because those illusions will turn that scaling back against you. So you have to watch out with just how long TNC wants to hold back this game. They have taken out the last outer tower for Fnatic, so that does really severely limit the movement of Fnatic in this game now. I think the next thing they really need to do is at least take out one tier 3 so they can start clearing out the shrines and take complete control of that dire jungle.
I can't disagree with you on that. Just having a look at MP, it looks like he is going to be going for a Heaven's Halberd after those boots of travel that he's picking up. But definitely wanting to stop the right clicks from at least Gabby, who, I mean, he's hitting like an absolute truck right now on that Drow Ranger. Definitely want to limit the amount of damage he can do during the team fight. You can see sticking together as 5, understanding that one lost team fight could really turn this game badly for them.
Where are you watching?
Fnatic able to really just get that much needed farm. I mean, MP, he's at 16k net worth lead now, so arguably he's almost on point with the opposing cause now. Very close, in fact. Does feel like he does need to be slightly more tanky, however. Like, that 2k seems to not be anywhere near enough. But that may also be due to the fact that he keeps getting silenced as well.
Yeah, I think that plays a big part of it. And again, with that Manta style up now, he should be able to get a bit more done when he's jumped. It's still going to be a bit of a rough time as, you know, he's recovered quite nicely. He's still not quite up to par with the top net worth in TNC side. Not by a massive amount, but that is enough to cause a disparity there. He is working towards what looks to be a Heaven's Halberd next, so that should be helpful against the right-click damage coming out from the heroes on TNC. That this arm should be quite useful, but I'm not sure at what point does Fnatic actually take the active side of stuff. Because again, they're still playing pretty passively, they're waiting for TNC to make moves, and that is working out well for them, but I feel like, you know, maybe you start hunting for the solo pickoffs, maybe you start dropping a few more wards around that Roche pit, you know, start watching out for those objectives and start forcing fights there when, when the time comes.
Just watching jabs on that Shadow Demon, he got away with a very, very cheeky Observer Ward. Almost finding himself dead, however. The side of TNC were around him. They just didn't quite realize he was just south. It's a very nice Observer Ward for his team as well. Especially for that next Roshan that will be up. In fact, it is up. It was a very quick one. See, the TPs to the shrine. Fnatic will get the go-ahead to rush to the Roche pit right now. Meanwhile, however, KuKu does pick up a Scythe of Vice for himself, so that's going to make things a lot harder in this engagement. Suddenly that Manta isn't going to be quite as useful up against the side of TNC. does have a 10-second BKB charge available and ready to go as well, and they are going to scan and smoke up, knowing exactly where Fnatic are sitting. Fnatic, however, hugging their shrine for the moment. TNC searching, but also like waiting for the side of Fnatic to try and defend that mid lane, but it looks like Fnatic are aware, although IceIceIce just going to stand on the high ground, picking up the buyback status now, and there's only Abed and Jabs that have the buyback available on the side of Fnatic. Orb will scout out IceIceIce on that high ground. TNC look to back off for the moment, not really enjoying what they're seeing here.
It's fair enough point to make. They didn't really have a good position to force these fights. They were on low ground for the most part. Fnatic choosing not to back out of that jungle, which was a smart play. They knew something was up. They played defensively and just kind of waited out. And that does pay off for them, as they don't really lose anything too much. They do get some more time to just farm safely. And MP now has his Heaven's Halberd.
IceIceIce been silenced up. He'll BKB up, and now they'll get started at that Roche pit. Who have they found there? I believe it is KuKu, but he will BKB up himself. And look at that Dream Core, John. It's a lot of work from Armel. He's going to shred him apart on the backlines. The jabs coming in. Now the Eclipse as well. MP, he couldn't do anything in this engagement. And IceIceIce, he could lose his own life. He only has the Storm Spirit left. Meanwhile, Gabby, he'll find jabs. He'll find MP as well. Abed's arrived late to the party and the doors are closed. He has to get the hell home now before the wife finds out. But the Roshan will be available for TNC, or will it? They tried to go for the final pickoff up the high ground, but nevertheless, a great engagement from TNC, and that's a free Roshan.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising that Fnatic chose to force that fight there. IceIceIce jumping back in, MP jumping back in. Really curious. Again, they can try to find pickoffs. I think that's perfectly fine. But in a 5v5, TNC's lineup is much stronger in that sense. Like, they have the Eclipse up, they have the Nature's Wrath, they have good AoE stuns from the Sven, and good control from the Puck. It's really hard to fight in such a tight spot like that.
Well, KuKu setting up another kill. He's caught IceIceIce. The BKB will be there, but look at the damage coming in. He will be able to outrun them. Dreamcore, however, will hold them within that fountain. They should be able to claim their first racks of the game within that time frame. A lot of damage here. Fortification is over. They will get rid of one. In fact, they're going to go for a second. Fnatic, how do they even defend this? It's just so hard because there's so many silences and hexes to watch out for from the side of TNC. Gabby, again, hitting so hard. In fact, Mel finding DJ straight off the bat. Now they'll go for more. They silence up jabs, and jabs will be the target. Mel on a godlike now. Abed coming in, but once again, it's not really going to do too much. MP trying to take down that darn Drow Ranger. She has an Aegis anyway, however. In fact, she's up to full HP once again, and they'll get started on the final tier 3. DJ sitting on the sidelines for 30 seconds, and now they do get jabs once again. That's a dieback on the Shadow Demon. They're going to find Armel as well. Excuse me, that was Abed. MP trying to make a run for it, but so much damage from Gabby. He gets sprouted as well. He will make it out, and they will not fountain dive, but it's GG well played anyway. TNC, they do pull off game number 1. 40 minutes in, John, the Drow strat does end up working.
You know, TNC played their draft brilliantly. We had our doubts about